Right. Some of you aren't here and we miss you, and it's not the same without you. So what we thought we'd do is, so that you don't feel completely left out, we'll make this little video. So I'm here with Block 5 first years. And we're going to be going over Act 2, Scene 1. For that reason, I tried this with the visualiser yesterday and it didn't work. So that's why I'm not using the visualiser on my book. I'm going to do the screen. So I will keep turning around to speak to my class, because not everything's about you, even if you're not in college. All right, these guys are important as well. So, Act 2, Scene 1, it's a pretty short scene. Yesterday, what did you say? That the characters are dragged about by the plot, which I thought was a really lovely way of kind of building on what Emma Smith had said. And certainly this scene it's all about just driving the plot forward, isn't it? But it doesn't have to be. We can do some really nice AO5 on this as well if we want to, with lots of interpretations. And certainly when we start watching other productions, we're going to see how much directors have made of that. So we're just going to do a simple read through, and we're going to, you're going to annotate it. I haven't figured out how to do that yet on here. What I do then is I post the link to this Loom video, but I also upload it as a YouTube video as well, because sometimes students can't open the Loom ones. I don't know why. So, okay. So interestingly, Antonio, although he's a minor character, he both opens and closes this scene. Whether that gives him any power or agency is for us to decide. But opening a scene with a question, structure is as I've got older, I've got more interested in structure, particularly with plays, because the opening of scenes is getting us to think about, who do we see first? Who speaks first and why? So we don't open with Sebastian, the higher status character, saying, I'm leaving. It's Antonio saying, well, why? Why won't you stay? And I guess that's a little bit more evidence for perhaps a homoerotic or queer reading, that there does seem to be this plaintive, why won't you stay any longer? Nor will you not that I go with you. Nor will you not that I go with you. By your patience, no. By your patience, no. By your patience, no. What kind of tone is this line being delivered in? An understanding of tone is so important to literature. It's so key. It's something that you can instantly play around with as a director. It's really easy. Saying it in different ways obviously affects the meaning. It's also really important if you can't understand the tone of a piece, particularly when we get to the dystopian unscenes. It probably means you're going to have misread it. So being aware of tone is key. Okay, so who'd like to start me off? Because we looked at this a little bit together yesterday, so let's do a bit of revision. My stars shine darkly over me. What did we say was going on there? Kathy?
There was an oxymoron.
So we've got the oxymoron, the metaphor, and the motif of... Katie? Motif of begins with an F. It's not your feet. It rhymes with gate. Fate, that's right, it's fate. The motif of fate, which links with Olivia because she talks about fate at the end of the scene. And then we talked, didn't we, Will, about this word malignancy and how Antonio definitely feels like his fate is a negative one. The malignancy of my fate might perhaps distemper yours. Again, this might lead to us thinking that there's some care between these two, because if they're just knocking about together, why would he care what happens to Antonio if he's not on kind of a good path? Therefore, I shall crave of you your leave that I may bear my evils alone. Now, we didn't talk about that a little bit yesterday, but that I may bear my evils alone. Does it sound, Emily?
Reflects that people self-defend a bit in time, so he feels a bit like, no, deal with it on my own. Like, he's kind
Technique.
of self-fulfilling it.
Technique then, a bit of...
motif?
I was thinking more just of like hyperbole. Maybe it's a little bit over dramatic. Or maybe it's not. Maybe he just genuinely feels like his life isn't going to go very well. What did we say the next bit was, Emily M? It were a bad recompense for your love to lay any of them on you. Recompense we talked about. What did we say? Jess? It were a bad recompense. Hang on, Reese is going to help you out.
A bad way to pay you back.
A bad way to pay you back. Well?
Can you mention like how it's that transactional sort of language that you have to see before?
Lovely. The transactional language, like the kind of like the business language. And Antonio says, well, at least let me know where you're going. Let me yet know of you, whither you are bound. No, sooth, sir. My determinate voyage is mere extravagancy, but I perceive in you so excellent a touch of modesty that you will not extort from me what I am willing to keep in. What does that word extort mean? Who does law? Isabel?
It's kind of like forcing somebody to do something.
Yeah,
So,
it's when you force something from somebody, and it's usually money. So the extortion is a crime. So that's, again, that word's being used there. We've got that kind of business-like, transactional language. What else is he saying there? Go on, Isabel.
I don't know if this is what you mean, but at this point, Antonio doesn't know that Sebastian is wealthy, so maybe Sebastian's kind of saying, I know you didn't take advantage of my status.
Yes. Go on, Will. Do you want to add to that? All right. Therefore, it charges me in manners the rather to express myself. You must know of me then, Antonio. My name is Sebastian, which I called Rodrigo. Okay. And my father was that Sebastian of Messaline, whom I know you have heard of. He left behind him myself and a sister, both born in an hour. If the heavens had been pleased, would we had so ended. Does that mean this?
Is that if it was really meant to be why did it the way that he did? Like she's dead and he thinks that she's dead.
Yeah, you're almost there. What is he wishing had happened to him? Emily?
He wants to have died.
Yeah.
She wanted to die with him.
No, he's just saying if the heavens had been like it's a symbol of his grief. We were born within an hour, and I wish we died within an hour of each other as well, because then I wouldn't be so unhappy. But again, he refers to the heavens and fate, doesn't he? Go on, Will.
Can I say, like, I kind of thought about that in a bit of a different way when I first tried it.
Lovely, go on.
I thought it was saying that, like, it was almost him questioning his belief in this whole, like, their fate being entwined thing. Like, I thought that was kind of how he was saying it. Like,
Yeah, I think it totally can be like, why haven't we gone down the same path? Why aren't, which perhaps suggests that before that they've been inseparable, their fates have been very close-knit and now they're not. I like that, that's good. But you, sir, altered that. For some hour before you took me from the breach of the sea was my sister drowned. So we discover that Antonio has literally, Emily, saved his life. Yeah, okay, good. So, this is our first introduction to Sebastian. What are our first impressions? Olivia, any thoughts?
He seems to think the same way as Viola thinks about him.
Right, so there's a kind of reciprocal love. Yeah, definitely. Anything else, Kathy?
He really values Antonio and what he did like to say.
Yeah, it seems genuine, doesn't it? Yeah. I don't know if have you got a hand up, Isabella? Yeah.
Well, like kind of throughout the play, you kind of see this kind of dynamic of people being described one way and then appearing to be another, described by other people. But when Sebastian's speaking about Viola, it's, we know it's true. We've seen that it's fully reflected maybe that's kind of like saying that the relationship between family and like siblings is maybe more important.
More important, more trustworthy as well. That's 3 different ideas there we've got about Sebastian, and I can't see anybody writing them down. So you put your annotations in your book, but then on your paper, your file paper, you write down those ideas. So we had the suggestion, first of all, we had the kind of reciprocity that Sebastian feels for Viola what she feels for him. Both characters, when we're introduced to them, talk about the other one. And Isabel developed that by saying that this perhaps leads us to see that the relationship between siblings is more trustworthy, more truthful than between lovers. And there was another thing, what was it? Was that it? The 2 things? That was it. I've imagined the third. Go on, Will.
Could you do a third?
Yes.
Yeah, could you maybe just extend off that a little bit, say it's kind of commenting on the superficiality of the rest of the romantic relationships with like Orsino and his whole kind of
Yes.
tracking.
Yes, good. So in contrast to how he speaks about Viola, we've got, Orsino speaking about Olivia and it being, so if he is hyperbolic, well, maybe it isn't then. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not hyperbolic at all and he genuinely is this upset. Stella?
He's like introduced after like the exposition of all the other characters, so I thought it was very like he's there really just to tie up the loose ends, like you said yesterday.
Yeah, good. So, and on top of all of that, he's there helping to tie things up. Tie things up? No. To tidy things up. Okay, right. Alas the day. A lady, and he goes on. So in his next bit of speech, he's going to tell us even more about her. A lady, sir, though it was said she much resembled me, was yet of many accounted beautiful. I mean, is he being a bit self-deprecating? I mean, a lot of people said she looked at me, but she was beautiful. I don't know. But though I could not with such estimable wonder over far believe that, yet thus far I will boldly publish her. She bore a mind that envy could not but call fair. How's this developing what we feel about Sebastian? And what's he focusing on there? Emily? Right. Lovely. So the first thing he does is he kind of brings her back to life for himself, first by conjuring up what she looked like, and then secondly by telling us about her kind of personality, that she was clever, she was quick. Good. Kathy?
He's talking about her mind and what she thinks, not about the beauty, which everyone seems to very care about.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of plot, he's like, remember, audience, she looks like me. That's how this whole thing's going to work, because we're not going to recognise each other by the end, because we look so alike. But also that focus on what should be valued in a person. And what about this last line? She is drowned already, sir, with salt water, though I seem to drown her remembrance again with more. Is he saying there, Reese?
He's like trying to forget about her.
What's he actually doing? What's that salt water? He's crying, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's crying. Who does that link us back to? The eye-offending brine. Lovely. Good. And the fool telling Olivia not to mourn because her brother's in heaven. Go on, Emily.
I just thought that it was interesting that this motif of kind of literature and books, like he says, thus far are boldly published. And about the unclasped this book of my secret soul.
Yes.
All interlinked with that.
Where else have we seen that? So we've got unclasp the book of my secret soul. I will publish my opinion of her. Kathy?
And if you talk about the first chapter, I haven't read it.
Yeah, the chapter. Where is this law? I've read it. It is, what does she call it? Heresy. And then also when she gives out diverse particulars, the list item. What does she say about herself? She kind of plays it all down, doesn't she? Okay, right, lovely. So some really good detail. So, thinking about an essay, we might have a topic sentence to say something like, Shakespeare chooses to introduce Sebastian as, this is shown, and then we'll start weaving those quotations in. Pardon me, sir, you're bad entertainment. I mean, he's not saying there that he's made him watch box sets of the Kardashians, which would be bad entertainment. No? Not even a wry smile. Tough last lesson on a Thursday. But he feels like he probably should have looked after him better if he'd known his higher status. Oh, good Antonio, forgive me. Oh, no. He's like, oh, I wish I'd looked after you. Oh, no, I wish I hadn't been such a bother. And then he says, if you will not murder me for my love, let me be your servant. Where's that come from? What's all that about? If you will not murder me for my love, let me be your servant. Anybody? Emily?
It could be completely wrong. But is it like about him saying, if you're going to leave and break my heart, can you let me be your servant at least? Like, that's the only closeness he's going to get to kind of that relationship.
I think that's a valid reading, yes. I think there are more, so it's not wrong, but I think it can stand alongside some others. Isabel?
Is he maybe apologising for being like unworthy of him, like romantically?
If you will not murder me for my love, let me... I see. So now I've realised I'm not worthy enough to be your lover. Let me at least serve you. Poor Antonio. Yeah. Will?
Is that idea of like the parallels between like a servant master relationship and like a romantic, is it a romantic or like a sexual one?
Yeah, well, either or. So that's something that Emma Smith was introducing us to, wasn't it, in that lecture, about that idea of the crossover. So where else do we see that crossover? Later on in the play, Jess? That crossover between, like, servant...
With Cesario and Orsino.
With Cesario and Orsino. Where else, Olivia? Malvolio and Olivia. And there's one more. Toby and Maria's marriage at the end. Good. Oh, see, keep layering it up, keep revisiting. We'll get there. And then Sebastian says, if you will not undo what you have done, that is, kill him whom you have recovered, desire it not. Sounds really complicated, but it's actually quite simple. And he says, don't ask me if you can follow me because it will kill me. It will break my heart to have you follow me and serve me. Or if it's not a romantic one, he's just saying, I kind of can't be responsible for that obligation. Fare you well at once, my bosom is full of kindness, and I am yet so near the manners of my mother, that upon the least occasion more, mine eyes will tell tales of me. Right, there's a load to unpick there, and quite a bit of AO2. So, Liz, you want to offer me anything from that bit?
He refers to many things as quite feminine. My bosom is in breast, and mother is in a female caring companion.
Good. So Shakespeare presents Sebastian as a feminised character when dealing with his emotions.
Yeah.
Lovely. Emily, you want to write that down? Present him as a feminised character. All right. Reese, anything else?
No. You could say how my bosom is full of kindness, I would say how violence is up to Olivia.
Right, that's nice. What does he mean when he says, mine eyes will tell tales of me? He's going to cry. I'm going to cry like my mum. It's quite sweet, really. Well, I read it as sweet.
I think it's endearing.
Endearing. Some of you might see it as a bit pathetic, maybe.
No, he's lost his sister.
He's lost his sister. He's parting with the only friend he's got. So he's going to be upset. Tell tales of me. With the pun, yeah, I'm just interested what you was going back to what you were saying, Emily, about like books and stories and. Oh, sorry. I'm old. My ears. Actually, my hearing's quite good. I'm hanging on to the little shreds of youth that I've got. And then after all that, he says, "But I'm going to Count Orsino's court. Bye-bye." So after him saying, you mustn't come with me, I'm not telling you where I'm going, it's like, literally hands in the coordinates as he leaves.
Is it parallel of when Olivia is like, please leave, but, unless you come back to tell me how he takes it.
Tell him no more unless you come back to tell me how he takes it. Maybe, yeah. So perhaps, for a moment that's been quite poignant, quite romantic, it ends on a bit of a laugh, like, but, if you really do want to find me, this is where I'll be. And Antonio ends the scene again talking about fate, the gentleness of all the gods go with thee. So he invokes the gods to follow him and take care of him. Then he tells us, because this is important for the plot, I have many enemies in Orsino's court, else would I very shortly see thee there. There's no dramatic pause. In the next breath, oh, but come what may, I do adore thee so, that danger shall seem sport, and I will go. I mean, what has happened? Kathy's loving that. She's like, oh,
They're so cute.
they're so cute. What AO2 have we got there, though? What motif has been returned to?
Adore, adoration, word adore is only used for like serious love.
Lovely. And, Isabel?
Is it to do with sport, like how Orsino was going on about hunting?
It is. It's that motif of hunting again, the sport of hunting. I'm not suggesting that Antonio is hunting for, what's he called? Sebastian. But it's there. Danger shall seem sport. It's a game. It's a game, isn't it? But it's important that we know that he's got enemies there. Just watch out. Right. Okay, I think that's us done. I hope that helped people at home with that scene.